Ryan Jarrell here for MMA News, and my next guest picked up a split decision victory at UFC Vegas 96 this past weekend over Dennis Buzukja. And of course, it is Francis Fire Marshall on the program. Francis, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm good, man. Nice to talk to you. And again, congrats on the win. Tough, opponent. He really came to fight, and he picked up some steam, I guess, as the fight went on. But it was clear to me that you won the fight. Having said that, with the split decision victory, how nervous were you before the judges actually rendered their decision?
I really wasn't that nervous. And then I heard the first judge give his score of 29-28 for Bazooka. So after that, I was like, I thought I was like, am I going to get robbed right now of this? Like, I was like, there's no possible way. And then I heard the next judge 30-27 me. So then I knew at that point, I kind of figured the last judge would have it my way as well, because I didn't think could have been that far off. So after the second judge, I kind of eased my mind a little bit. But still, when I first heard that first score, I mean, I thought I was getting robbed. I was going to be a little upset.
Yeah, I would imagine so. You clearly won the first round. In the second round, you did drop him. You look like you had him hurt pretty bad. What were some of the advice that you got from your corner, going into that second and third round? What did they tell you that they wanted you to adjust?
I think it was mostly just like stick with the wrestling, work some level changes in there. Sticking with the jab, work the straight right hand. Don't get too crazy and stuff like that. But mainly it was to get back to the wrestling how we were in the first round. So like level change, throw some fakes here and there, a little more head movement and stuff like that. But yeah, we went in there, kind of tossed that to the wind and just fought.
Yeah, I mean, and you're known as a grappler, right? You got the wrestling background, but like as you said, you went in there, you tossed it to the side, and was exchanging. How pleased were you with, I guess looking back at, your performance with the stand-up side of things? Did you feel like, you leveled up, or you're getting better in that area?
Yeah, I definitely feel like I'm getting better in that area. I feel like my boxing has always been good. It's just been some kickboxing stuff we've been working on, and now in the future, maybe start working a little more defense and head movement and stuff like that instead of getting punched so much. Just work on punching him more and getting hit less, which will definitely help. But at the end of the day, I really didn't take much damage. Like he landed some shots, but nothing that wobbled me or rocked me or anything like that. So I think I'm pretty durable in that aspect, and just getting there and scrap, it's fun for me.
Yeah, so it did look like, he was finding a home for that left hook. So that didn't affect you at all. Like you were never hurt or stunned at all.
Nothing. I mean, I felt the shots and like you could feel it, like it was a good shot, but nothing like shocked me, nothing stunned me or anything like that. I was still good, level headed and ready to keep moving.
How would you assess your cardio? Do you feel like you were where you needed to be on a short notice fight like this?
Yeah, I think my cardio looked worse and felt worse had it not been for that bloody nose, because then it affects my breathing in through my nose. Because like the week before I was sparring, I was feeling good through like 4, 5 rounds. Maybe I was getting a little tired towards the fifth, but I think the nosebleed, kind of not being able to inhale through your nose, really affects your cardio, where you just have to mouth breathe the whole time. So that's something to work on in the future. I know on a full camp I'll be in way better shape than I was there, and I felt like I wasn't in terrible shape. Like I know there's some guys that come in on weeks notice that probably just almost roll off the couch, or they're just training a little bit here and there and not really fully training, and their cardio wouldn't be close to mine, and that wasn't even the best where mine could be.
How do you like fighting at the Apex? I mean, some people like it, because of the intimate setting and you can hear your coaches. Other people hate it because they want to be in an arena with a bunch of screaming fans. What's your take on fighting there?
Man, I did, after going from the arena, my first UFC fight, to the Apex the next two. Like I was not a fan of the Apex. I didn't like it. I was like, I don't want to fight here again. I was like, this sucks. Like there's no fans. But I kind of started changing my mentality into just being grateful to get a fight, being grateful that I'm in the UFC. There's a ton of guys that would kill to be in my position, and whether it's in the Apex or an arena. Like if I look back to myself, 5 years ago, if you told me I'm fighting in the UFC but only at the Apex, I'm still gonna be thrilled. Just because I got that little bit of a taste of a crowd my first fight, I think it made me just keep wanting that. But now I'm just happy and grateful to be able to fight in the UFC, whether it's at the Apex or it's going to be in front of a crowd.
What are the positives and the drawbacks from accepting a short notice fight like this? I know, there's kind of like the obvious ones that you can look at, but this was easily the most short notice fight that you've had. Run me through your mindset, looking back on it now.
So I pretty much knew my next fight was going to be a short notice opportunity, whether it be 1 week or whether it be like 4 weeks. So some positives on that is that you just get to focus on training, and I get to focus on myself and develop and still get better at different things. And I'm not so worried about someone else's game for 8 weeks or like I'm not thinking about one specific opponent for 8 to 10 weeks that sometimes takes a mental toll on you. It's just, I'm going to the gym every day. I'm motivated to train every day. I love being there, like working on myself, doing improvements. And then a week's notice, you just pop in and you're like, okay, let's go. Let me do what I've been working on for the past X amount of time. But then some drawbacks you have is like you don't get to game plan specifically for the guy. You don't get to, maybe have someone mimic him for 7 weeks where you could get a feel for how he's going to fight and stuff like that. But I mean, at the end of the day, I think it's a great opportunity. I mean, I think a lot of fighters should try it out, whether they get the offer or not. But just to see how you like it, I think I do like those short notice opportunities now. Obviously, I would rather a whole camp so you could hit your strength and conditioning program from week 8 to week 1. You could hit your cardio programs. You could, program your whole camp specifically for one opponent. But yeah, I think short notice is great too.
When you first got the call, what was your weight at?
Um, that night, I think I was like 174.
At 74. Is that normal for you to be 20 pounds out from a couple days before a fight?
No, I usually keep my weight below 170. Like I try to stay like mid 60s out of camp. But I had a couple days where I ate bad in a row. Like I think it was like 3 days in a row. Like I would eat good during the day, and then at nighttime, have some snacks, some cookies here and there. It's like, oh, because I looked at it. I looked at the whatever the card for like the following weeks. I'm like, okay, this fight's a week out. I'm like, these guys are fighting. That's the only fight at 145 that I would get. I was like, they're fighting. Nobody pulled out. Funny enough, 2 days later they call me up. Someone pulled out. So it's just funny how things work out. But yeah, I usually try to like to stay below 170.
Yeah, I would imagine so. So you have pretty much your weight cut down to a science at this point. I mean, you've been doing it long enough.
Yeah, I've been working with Eric Pena for 3 years now, I believe. So he always, helps me out with the weight cut, with the in-camp diet. He's always like he's the best nutritionist out there, man. He helps me out big time, makes it as easy as possible, and then gets me to feel great by fight day again, almost back to normal.
Are you a sauna guy?
Now, well, I usually do the sauna blanket, which is like almost like a sleeping bag that gets up to like 170. So I'll do that, and I'll do the hot tub or hot bath.
Okay, yeah. The sauna can be brutal, man. I'll try to get in it a couple times a week at the gym, and it gets like north of 220, and I feel like I'm dying in there.
Yeah, it's that old school mentality. Those old school guys, all that's all they had was the sauna or the steam room. But the thing about like the tub or the sauna blanket, it's nice you still have fresh air, so you're not breathing in that hot 200-degree air the whole time.
Yeah, you're right. That's a great point.
Yep.
Obviously, you said post fight that it was do or die. You had to go in there and get this win. You did. Is it almost a relief at this point to secure this win, knowing that you're probably going to remain here in the UFC?
Yeah, it's a little bit of like a relief. It's like a little bit of okay, I got this fight now. Now I could kind of hopefully get a new contract, and now I could get a full camp and go full steam ahead and get back on track how I was. So it was definitely something that was not weighing on me, but it was like, okay, like when am I gonna fight? Like I'm trying to stay ready for anything that pops up. And over it's been a year, so over a year, it's like you have highs and you have lows where you're feeling really good, but then you can't be peaking for so long, and you're just hoping you're getting a fight as you're peaking, like in your training, and then like it doesn't come, and then you go back down, and you're hoping maybe like you get a couple weeks notice. But it's a little hard to explain, but yeah, it's definitely like a little bit of a weight off my shoulders that I feel good about.
How did you grow, or what did you learn from those two losses that you had before this, win over Dennis? And those are the only two losses of your career. I have to imagine that probably put you in a maybe a negative space mentally after that second loss in particular.
Yeah, especially since that was a finish loss, and that was the first time I ever got finished. And honestly, that was I went into that fight, and I think maybe I was not as confident as I should have been, or I wasn't really there mentally. Like I got taken down. That was the first time I ever got put on my back. And Isaac's a good wrestler. He's a great top control. But for me, I kind of got put there, and I was like just almost froze, where I wasn't moving. I wasn't trying to get back to my feet. I kind of just played the stall game, and it didn't work out. So after that fight, it was like I had to do a lot of searching mentally. I started working with a sports psych mindset coach, so he's helped me out tremendously. I've been working with him since October, and we've just been focusing on things and doing a lot of work to change my mindset to where it is now. And man, I feel way better than I did a year ago.
Yeah, the mental side of fighting. I've talked to so many fighters like Brendan Allen, same thing. You
Yep.
know, he's seeing, a mental coach as well, and it's just made him grow so much. Do you feel like you're going to see more and more fighters in the combat sports world gravitate towards that because of all the success that people like yourself, and others are having?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's like the last missing link. And funny thing is, Brendan Allen actually hooked me up with my guy. So we used the same guy. I reached out to him when I heard him talk about it after his one fight, and yeah, he sent me this guy's information over. But I think that is like one of the main things missing. Like kind of how you look at it 15 years ago, recovery wasn't as big, or maybe strength and conditioning wasn't as big back then as it is now. Like so, these little things. It takes time to. The sport's still relatively young, so it takes time to get all those variables and figure out what's the ideal thing for fighting and that's going to bring you to the highest level. But if you ask anyone, like what percent of fighting do you think is mental? I guarantee you they said, oh, 80, 90%, at least 70% they'll say. But then you ask them how much mental training they're doing. Most guys don't do any. Most guys, it's like, oh, I don't, nothing. I just train. So you're training physically 100%. You're doing nothing for your mentality. So you got to definitely do something for it, whether it's, work on something on your own, hire a coach for it, which definitely helps. And I think that's going to be the next step that separates the top five from the rest of the division.
You're so right, man. I wish I could go back to college because basketball was my sport growing up. And if I would have had a mental coach and I would have paid more attention to that, I feel like I could have been leaps and bounds better than I was.
Yeah, I think it's all about the mentality, and every sports too. I think not just fighting, but anything. It's super super big in the mind that you got to be sharp there, and you can't get too hung up on the wins and the losses, or if you did something right or if you did something wrong. It's all about just going out there, staying in the present, staying mindful, and just taking it one step at a time.
Yeah, very well said, man. And you're an East Coast guy like myself. I know you've been at ATT for a while now. When did you actually make the transition from Jersey to Florida?
So after my fight last year, my coach from here, Kurt, he called up, he made a phone call down there. So I went in September for a week to try it out last September. I loved it there. They accepted me in, they liked me. And then I was going back maybe like 1 week for every month, maybe sometimes like 2 weeks if I could get it in. And then what was it, June 30th, I drove down there, and July 1st, I started full time, moved down there. So now I'm down there full time every day of the week training. It's great, man. I can't beat it.
Yeah, I mean, there's just so many high level fighters at ATT. I mean, I'm sure you still get working with Pellegrino and the guys in Jersey, though, right? But I mean, right now, ATT is you're saying that's where you're going to be from here on out, as far as like the majority of your camps go.
Oh, 100%. It's my whole camp's going to be there, and time in between camp is there. It's just the place where I need to be to get to where I want to be in my career. So
Yeah.
it's countless number of guys to train with and get better with, and top level coaches of every department there. It's second to none. You got guys like Mike Brown in there who's helping me out. Steve Mako, phenomenal wrestling coach, and then I just started working with Anderson Franca, who's Edson Barbosa's striking coach. So he's been started working with him recently too. So those three guys alone are getting me leaps and bounds ahead of where I could be back home. On top of all the training partners I have there, that place it's the best.
Mike Brown is actually from where I'm from here in Maine. What is it like working with him? Tell me a little bit about Coach Brown.
He's just so knowledgeable. Like his knowledge on the sport is crazy, and he's just still very like he keeps up with it. He's not like an old school coach that okay, like these are the ways. This is how I did it. This is how you're going to do it. He's developing as the sport goes on. Like he has film from guys who were fighting last week, guys who fought 2 weeks ago, of what they're doing and what they're working on, and he'll show you and he'll drill it and he'll work with you. So he's still developing with the sport, which is great. I think that's a great thing that you need in coaches that aren't just stuck on the past, that are we're one way and this is how it's going to be. I think developing and keeping up with the times is huge.
I saw you had Grant Dawson in your corner last Saturday as well. What is it like having him around?
It's great. He's so good energy. Great training partner, obviously, great fighter. He's definitely, without a doubt, top 15, top 10 guy in that lightweight division. So just to have him to train with every day, day in, day out, and then to have him coach me, help me warm up in the back, give me some tips in the corner. Like he was yelling for me to stick my leg between the fence and my opponent when I was in the first round. And once I did that, it was so much easier to hold him there and kind of stay on position and break him down. So I mean, just tremendous knowledge with the wrestling and the grappling from him.
Yeah. See, and if you were in a big arena, you may not have been able to hear him rather than being in the apex and you can hear him clearly, right?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I've always had like in the arena and everything. I could always. It's weird. You just drown out all the crowd. It's like you hear your corner and everything else is like a blur.
Grant has a fight with Rafa Garcia around the corner. What do you think we're going to see in that fight? How is he looking in camp?
He looks great. I mean, Grant always feels great, and as the fight gets closer, his cardio just gets better and better. Like I know for myself, like I have good cardio in the gym and in fights. Like I like to push the pace, but I mean, even his last fight, as it got closer, like 3 weeks out, like I'm trying to push the pace, and he's just nonstop, just go, 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 go. So, he's always in great shape. His grappling and top control, and even if he gets on bottom, I can't hold him down for more than like 10 seconds. He's right back up. So, I think he's gonna do very well, and I think he's gonna have a really good fight.
Do you have like a couple specific guys that you work with more than others at ATT? Like when you're in the middle of the camp, is there one or two guys that you're working with more, or is it more just opponent specific and they're giving you the looks that you need for the upcoming opponent that you have?
I think when I get a camp, maybe it'll be like opponent specific. You obviously kind of want to work with guys who are going to give you good looks as your opponent would be. But out of camp, I work with Grant a lot. I work with Dakota Bush a lot, Nate Garib a lot. I've been training with Movzar a little bit too. When he asked me for rounds, I always get rounds with him. I mean, he's great. And then just a ton of other guys. Like I just love to mix it up and blend it with everyone there because you could pick a little bit from someone here, a little bit from somebody there. So instead of just having like one specific guy and then you guys figure each other out, like it's always fresh, it's always new, and like you're just getting so much knowledge from everyone. And then I just love asking questions to the guys afterwards because they help me in positions that, you know, I'm not great in or I haven't experienced before, and they're always giving me tips. So I just love mixing it up with everyone.
Do you see Mo Kano much? Do you ever work with him?
Yeah, I'll do some jujitsu rounds with him if he asks me. I always love to go with him too. I mean, he's phenomenal. One of the best guys I think I've ever rolled with.
I can't wait to see that fight with him in Saint Denis. That's going to be a banger.
Yeah, it's gonna be. I think he's gonna do really well. That's gonna be a good fight.
Awesome, man. Yeah, I also wanted to ask you too. Obviously it's been documented that, you were a firefighter in your past. I got to tell you, I have the utmost respect for firefighters. When I was a little kid, my house burnt down. We had an electrical fire, and it was one of the most traumatic things I've ever been through. We lost the majority of the house and had to rebuild, but they got there so quickly and we were able to get out of the house in time. It was like at 5 in the morning, middle of winter, running across the front yard in my bare feet, a foot of snow. And you guys were able to go in and get the pet out of the basement. Like, and I can't emphasize how much respect I have for firefighters. So I just wanted to tip my hat to you there. Is that something where you think when you're done fighting, you're gonna be involved in again, or is that a thing in the past now?
Um, it's possible. I know right now I'm on a leave of absence from work, so just I'm training full time. Um, I got to see where my future goes. Obviously, I just would love to fight forever and then see what happens after that. But I mean, it's a great career. It's a great job. It's great to help people like that. Like you're going. It was always like you're going to someone's house on the worst day of their life. Like nobody wants to. So you kind of go there with the respect of that, with the courtesy. Like you don't want to ruin their day any more than it is. Like you're going there to help. So whatever that homeowner or that resident needs in that time, that's what we're kind of there for.
Yeah. Again, it's such a noble profession. So, thank you for everything that you've done. I can't say enough about it. Someone that's been affected by a bad house fire. I also understand too, doing a little research, you were a football player growing up. Do you still pay attention to football? Are you a college and NFL guy?
Not much. I kind of stopped really watching sports maybe like 5 years ago. I don't really. Sometimes I'll watch fights and stuff like that if I'm interested, but I kind of it's just fighting took over my life. It's just so much involved in that I don't really have time to really keep up with football. And like I always kind of looked at it like a Bronx Tale now. Like the guy he says he's like, you ask Mickey Mantle for your rent money, he's gonna tell you no. Like he don't care. He don't care about you. Why do you care about them? So that's kind of maybe a bad way of looking at it, but I don't really get. I know some guys get super emotional with their sports. Like it's not a big deal to me. It doesn't really affect my life. I mean, in the future, if I become friends with somebody like that, then yeah, it'd be cool. But right now, it doesn't really affect me at all.
Okay, fair enough. If you can't tell by my background, I like sports a little bit. I'm not like a crazy, fanatic. Well, maybe I'm a little bit, but I'll digress. I also understand you're a golfer. You do enjoy golfing. Is that still accurate?
Sometimes I golf. Like I haven't gone in a while, but like in the summer, if I would have some free time or the spring, if I would go with my dad, maybe play around and golf here and there. But I mean, being in Florida, it's just when you're done training, I just want to go home, sit in the AC. Like I don't want to be out in the sun. I just want to rest my body and just recover. So I really haven't been big on the golf this year, but who knows? Maybe in the fall, if I get some free time down there, the weather cools down, play around here and there.
You can always go to a Top Golf too. I mean, they're peppered all
So,
over the place down there.
very true. And they have the indoor simulators too.
Yeah. Yeah, I run a golf tournament every year to raise money for cancer. So I'm getting more and more into it every year now. Golf is something that I can see myself doing in the future. I can't play basketball or football anymore. So, Francis, before we do get out of here today, I want to ask you about time frame for your next fight. Obviously you got to sign a new deal, right? So that's kind of the most pressing thing. But are you hoping to step back in before the end of the year? And if so, can you give me a time frame or a card that you're kind of zeroing in on?
Yeah, 100%. I would love to get back in before the new year. So I see they have that card in Tampa, which would be super cool to fight on in December. If not, then hopefully something else maybe in November, late November, early November, somewhere around there. I just would love to get another one in before the year to stay active and keep my name in the hat.
I think in November they're coming up to MSG. So would it be nice to come to New York and fight?
It would be, but I know that's a big pay-per-view. That's usually a tough one to get on. So we'll see what we could work out. If not that one, then hopefully I could get on the Tampa card would be pretty cool too.
Awesome, my man. Well, again, congrats on the win. Pleasure interviewing you for the first time today. Before we do get out of here, if there's anything you want to plug, anyone you want to thank, the floor is yours.
Yeah, just thanks to all my teammates down in the American Top Team, all my teammates and coaches there who, put me in a good position for this fight and just to stay ready for something like this. So those guys keep me ready. I always got to give a shout out to them. They're the best in the world and can't wait to get back.